Also, and quite refreshingly found on Amazon Prime Video, I checked out Weird Science, boom, 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 not what teacher said to do, diagrams and charts, Weird Science, boom, 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 boom. My creation. Is it real? Now, this is a movie I used to watch a whole lot back in the day when it was on like basic cable. And I think a lot of the humor was actually edited out because I don't recall this, or, maybe it flew over my head as I was well below 10 and shit. But this is a movie that's a bit of an oddball. This is a John Hughes film, but it's the least John Hughesy of John Hughes films that you may have fused. You see, this comes out some months after The Breakfast Club, but also in 1985. It's also a month after Back to the Future, with this weird, hey, teenager science theme. This one more of a, trying to get laid through science, kind of, well, would you call Back to the Future that? But it's teenagers with science theme, though I would call this straight up fantasy, really. Although time travel seems fantasy enough, they at least make it seem more plausible than hooking up a doll to some computer. But it's an enjoyable and funnier movie than I honestly recalled. You'll see a few bits of and winks and nods to other John Hughes stuff, and just the tone or how some of these jokes are later brought up in other affair. You will recognize that sensibility, and I think that this helps a lot. So, you got these guys, Wyatt and Gary. I think Gary is, I almost said Kevin Peter Hall, Anthony Michael Hall, right? And then some other guy. So Gary and Wyatt, and I keep getting mixed up who's who. I think Gary is the blonde. Yeah. Anyways, they get de-pantsed while watching some girls gymnasts at a high school at the beginning of the movie. This embarrasses them. That night, Wyatt's family is out of town. They're on vacation. His older brother Chet is with them, but kind of watching the house, but out hunting on occasion, whatever. And Gary just gets this weird notion. Gary's got this weird lisp type thing going, but he's trying to be suave. You know a guy like this. He's like, they're watching what? Bride of Frankenstein and Frankenstein's Monster or something. And he's like, hey, why don't we do that? Make a girl. And it's like, what, are you crazy? Yeah, you got this computer over here. Let's do it. And their computer's kind of set up like it's the one from War Games. Like he's got like the modem. You can put the phone headset into the device and now it can get online or some shit. And they're tapping into what they can do. And they're like, we'll make a simulation. Ask her questions, help us get laid. Yeah, cool, okay. And then they hack into some government group, and it's done in this fanciful way that nowadays people know that there isn't like a 3D hallway one travels down in cyberspace to hack. But as they convey this in the film, it's done in a played up but fanciful, fun way. There's a lightning storm. They have a ceremony. They put bras on their heads. They hook up a Barbie doll. There's a girl's room in here somewhere, but I don't think they mention a sister through this movie. I don't think so. But or how else do they have the Barbie doll? They also have some Playboy stuff they cut out. And if you look at the faces of the models they're putting in there, they're all Kelly LeBrock. I'm pretty sure, close to it. You scan Albert Einstein's face, and now with the brain IQ goes in there. Yeah, again, fantasy. So, lightning storm ensues, and poof, door bulges like it's made out of latex. It explodes, and then entrance, 10 out of 10 entrance here. You got this slow pan up from like the feet up to Kelly LeBrock's face. She's got like a half torn shirt thing going on, some kind of women's underwear, and there's like pink smoke behind her and shit. This is how you make an entrance, and I'll say to you this: Kelly LeBrock is excellent in this movie. She's everything she needs to be in this movie. She has a sense of humor. She's quick. She's got this British thing going, but she looks hot. and definitely stands out in the area. Everybody's like staring at her and shit. Yes, did a good job casting there. The first thing they do, they take a shower, and they're wearing their clothes, and she's like, you guys have got to lighten up. She takes them to a bar, has some magical powers where like things will kind of get a surge of electricity, and then boom, change. They put on some dorky suits, and then all of a sudden they're cool suits. They head out to a bar in a car that says Lisa on the plate because they decided to name her Lisa. And it's like, where did this materialize from? Oh, science, no fantasy. The bar they go to downtown has a few guys sitting at the table with them who are kind of entertained by this hot chick being with these two obviously high school guys who have IDs that she fabricated out of nowhere. One of them, Steve James, he may have a line or not. You know Steve James from American Ninja. I'll mention this because Judy Aronson, who plays one of the gals in the movie, I think the blonde gets with the blonde guy and the brunette gets with the brunette guy, she's also in American Ninja. Then you got this guy, Fats. He was the garbage truck driver in The Terminator. And then you got this other dude, probably pronounced his name wrong, John Capellos. He was Anthony Michael Hall's dad in Breakfast Club. So they're hanging out at the bar, they go back home. Now, there's an allusion here to, okay, one of them, Gary's too drunk and he crashes. Wyatt spends a lot of time kissing Kelly LeBrock. So Wyatt and Lisa possibly hook up because he says something about him being into gymnastics, and then she said, like, the next day, it's like, hey, I was in the middle of my gymnastics routine, you fell asleep. You've got to work on that. And it's like, oh, damn. You might want to run it by Gary, who got dibs on Lisa first. Didn't really see that sort of thing coming. You got awesome music here. Oingo Boingo does the theme, and you'll notice the title sequence looks similar to the Back to the Future title sequence. You know, we have this lightning motif thing. The colors are there. It's kind of an odd deal. I think the font might be quite similar too, as not the font in which Back to the Future or Weird Science is written, but the other titles. You also have Pretty Woman's Play. Like, the next thing they do, they just go to the mall and they're buying. She's trying to get them styled up or teach them about something. I don't know, but she wants to explore the mall. And you have Pretty Woman played, but it's a cover by Van Halen. Is it Van Halen or is it just David? Shit, forgot his name. Well, you know what? It probably is. But anyhow, they get harassed by some guy, and Robert Downey Jr. drops slushies on them from second floor, and they're hanging out with Judy Aronson and what's her name? Snyder, the blonde chick. She's cute too. Well, they get a look at Kelly LeBrock, and they're just like, screw these two girls we're with. We're following this chick. Go reverse course up the escalator. Everybody's staring at her everywhere. Even chicks are staring at her. And then they slap all of them, including this chick at the end of this row. And they're like, hey, so what are you doing here? And all this. They introduce each other. One of them goes, hey, this is Max. We call him Mad Max. That comes up later in the film. Then, out of nowhere, wheel up to the front door of the mall, a Porsche 928 black, driven by Gary, though I believe this would be Wyatt's car. And he's like, hey, come on, you got to get going. We're busy here. And you got Wyatt in the back seat. She gets in, and these guys are just like dumbfounded. What is she doing with these guys? Now, here's the thing about Porsche 928. In an 80s movie, this is like, there's a certain mystique to the 928. I think largely brought, this being a 928S has slightly more horsepower than the one seen in, Risky Business. But you got guys driving like Porsche 944s, 924s as like the cool guy in high school. Well, the cool guy in high school's dad drives the 928. There is no kid in America driving a 928 to school. That sort of thing is not happening. So that shows you the cojones on these malakas or whatever the guys at the bar told them. Okay, I who knows what I just said there. So where does the movie go next? She wants to have a party. She just tells people, "Hey, we're having a party." As she's leaving the mall, "Hey, we're having a party at Wyatt's house. Tell everybody." This is how fast this movie goes. They don't even go to school, but there's no school but the very beginning and the final scene of the movie. No talk of homework, none of this stuff. This movie books it. It moves along at a feverish pace. I thought, when I fired this up, I thought, what, didn't the bar thing kind of drag because they were kind of like talking slow and intoxicated? But no, that's over in a flash too. So now the party is among us already. I guess Chet's out hunting. He's not present. And this is the wildest 80s party that ever happened. Like, this is off the deep end weird shit because of the fantasy elements of which Lisa can evoke. Well, for starters, an insane amount of people just show up on such little notice and without instant messaging, email, Facebook Live, none of that shit. People just materialize out of nowhere. The place, and I'll give the kids this credit, they weren't destroying the place. Hell, most of that happened from Lisa and uninvited guests she conjured up. So, some weird shit happens where the Robert Downey Jr. and his lackey Mad Max, they want to make a Lisa. They apologize to Wyatt and Gary, say, "Hey, how'd you do this?" Like, "Oh, we made her. Here we're gonna go do the same thing." And they're trying to. They got the bras in their heads. They're hacking into the computer. The lightning storm happens outside. And Lisa comes by and says, "You idiots, you screwed this all up. You forgot one thing. You forgot to hook up the doll. And the wires were on a Time magazine that had an ICBM on it. The ICBM materializes, shoots through the floor, and is poking out through the house. And looks pretty damn authentic. Other weird shit goes down. A whole room in the house turns blue. Everybody wearing everything in it, the entire room, all of it's blue. A kid gets put in a TV set like he's inside the movie. Then one chick playing a piano. All the furniture gets sucked up through the chimney and goes flying out into a pool outside. Or is it a lake or something? And there's a chick playing the piano there. I think this is the chick who has the only exposed rack in a Die Hard film. And she's playing piano, minding her own business, and gets all of her clothes sucked off. I don't think you can see anything, or at least not on this transfer, and I'm not sure if you could at all, but I think they were like, "Hey, you got to get your bra sucked off because teen movie as science, yeah." She gets thrown up through the chimney too, but lands in the pool/pond out back, so I guess she's okay. So all this crazy shit's going down, and then Lisa's like, "You know what, these guys are still, they can't talk to these girls. They need some encouragement." Well, actually earlier, they, weirdly enough, locked themselves in the bathroom. Like, who goes to the bathroom with your buddy? And then the two chicks they want to talk to, Judy Aronson and the blonde chick, they want to come in the bathroom too and talk, and they're like, "Hey, hold on, we need to talk over here." They sequester themselves to the shower, and they start talking real fast like this. "How about we take our chances with her?" "No, I concur. How about we do it? Good. And it's a thing like you saw Macaulay Culkin and John Candy do in Uncle Buck. So I think it's like Dragnet inspired. These little things will happen in this. There's also a point where after the first night with Lisa, Chet comes in, and this is Bill Paxton, who's awesome in this, by the way. I totally forgot to mention this, but he's like, hey, come on, you goofball. Next, why are you wearing women's panties? That's messed up, because for some reason he had on Lisa's clothes, which makes me think that they got it on for sure, right? And he's like, "Next thing you know, you'll be wearing bra on your heads, buttwad." And then the guy looks at the camera real quick. Just a real quick, I did. Ferris Bueller much? That's just a year later. A lot of these little things come back. Even the way how they enter a bar and all the attention in the bar, all the music, everything just stops. That's the kind of like hyper reality of something like Ferris Bueller. But Ferris Bueller doesn't have this weird, let's call it science thing going for it, does it? So, yeah, back on track here. Lisa conjures up some goons to give Wyatt and Gary a challenge. The guy was called Mad Max earlier. Well, she brings in Vernon Wells. Now, this isn't Humongous. This is the other guy with the mohawk and shit. And he's got that kind of attire, and he pseudo-reprised that role at other times in the 80s. There is a music video for Phil Collins. Billy, don't you lose my number. Do-do-do. Yeah, check out that music video where they're running over concepts for a music video, and he shows up in it in a very Mad Max type way, getting onto this truck driven by Phil Collins. So he's there. You got the deformed guy with no hair on his body who can't sweat from The Hills Have Eyes, I reviewed fairly recently. He's there too, and then you have some other guy with like metal over his face. They're just tearing up place. They've got bikes. They're running through. It's chaos. They're going through the Blue Room and shit. All of this stuff's going on. Lisa's just kind of chill, and they capture the girls, or they're going to, and then Wyatt and Gary like, you know what? I guess it's time. I guess we have to prepare to die here. We're going to kick, and then the other one's like ass. They turn around, and it's like, all right, you guys get out of here. Gary's got a pistol. And, oh man, I forgot another thing earlier. Shit, I'm going to get to it. He's got this gun that Lisa had way earlier where it was a squirt gun, and he's aiming it at him. It's like, hey, you drop your shotgun, get out of here, just pack it up. And these guys take off, and you can see in the back that they even have like a car with people, like it looks like cellophane wrapped around it. Not entirely unlike the Road Warrior, but he also reprised to some bit in that craptastic, yeah, you heard me, craptastic Fury Road, the story of Mad Max being a side character for female empowerment shit. Anyhow, yeah, they pack up and leave, and Gary's waving this pistol around. He's like, hey, yeah, so it's a squirt gun, kaboom. Of course, it's a real gun, right? There was this hilarious moment earlier where Lisa goes and visits Gary's parents. And I don't recall this showing up on TV. I think they changed this radically. There's an F word said in this movie, and it's not the F word. It's the other one that you can't call people. You know, you can't call the gays that. That F word gets said a couple times. And she's talking to Gary's parents, and it's like, who are you? And it's like, oh, I'm a lot older than do I look like a high schooler? You know, shit like this. And she says something like, how would you like to know that your son's only sexual outlet is tossing off to some old magazines in the bathroom? And then the mom's like, oh, Gary. And then like Anthony Michael Hall then says, mom, no, I never tossed off. I never. He's making hand gestures. And he just doesn't let it go either. And it's the kind of thing that you think someone would actually say or do if some woman showed up and started telling your mom this shit. It was so good. She like wiped the mind of the dad so that they could get away with this stuff. Well, I guess the guys got to hook up with their chicks. Then everybody leaves. Chet comes home from duck hunting, I guess, and he's looking all angry, and it's like, what's this shit? The grandparents had showed up earlier, and they got frozen and put in a cupboard, and he's got his gun out, and he's like pointing it at like Gary and the blonde chick, and he's like hitting Gary over the head, and then at the end he's like doesn't know which one to hit over the head. He's like kind of choosing, and he just hits both of them. That kind of looks like that might have hurt some. But then he goes up to Gary, and he's got everybody like filed up in the breakfast nook area. And then Lisa picks on him some, turns him into like a humanized pile of shit or something. They have to go take the girls home. Now all of a sudden, Gary has a Ferrari. Is this a Mondial Cabriolet or something? It's a very cheap Ferrari by Ferrari standards. You can get it for like 30 grand now, which is about as base as Ferrari gets. It's a 2+2 convertible. It's not the worst looking thing in the world. It doesn't perform amazing, but It might not be a terrible investment if you're like, hey, I'm poor, but I want a Ferrari for some reason. Take a look at it. So that he's speeding through town. He thought he was going 35, but he was looking at the RPMs. So he's going like 70. They have a short mitigated car chase, lose the cops by passing over some train, cuts them off. There you go. So he drops her off, and things are going pretty well there. The other guy, he drives the Porsche, drops off his girl. I think he says I love you or something, and then the sprinklers turn on him, get him. Isn't that what happened? They both arrive back at the house. I think they had stunt drivers doing this because they had to coordinate the way they pulled in here, and you can see that Anthony Michael Hall's hair is not his. They get out of the cars, and the cars disappear. So there's like this weird Cinderella thing to this. Like Lisa has to go. They see that Chet's been turned into shit, and he's slowly getting better. It looks like at one point he grows some feet, and he's like, "Oh hey guys, sorry I was mean to you earlier." So he'll grow out of it. And as she says, "Oh, he'll be fine like 30 minutes or something." Like, and they take her word for it. She hasn't actually lied to them. She hasn't really done anything harmful, but other than improve people's lives, really, in her seeking out thrills so much. So she then bids them farewell. I guess she says that her work here is done and she has to go. And then there's some mist and she disappears. And then the next thing you know, there's some guys who are at the gym at the same high school where the girls were doing the gymnastics. And they appear to have a new gym teacher, and it's, super sexy gym teacher uniform attire, Kelly LeBrock Lisa. Do-do-do-do-do-do, boom. Weird science. Yeah, this is a fun movie. Funnier than I recall it being. I have this on DVD. You may have actually seen it in the background of some of my videos. I don't think I ever watched through it on DVD, but I was hoping for a better high definition looking transfer. It looks more like a 480p up conversion type thing, as seen on Amazon Prime Video. But this is worth checking out, especially if you like the John Hughes film. You want something maybe a little naughtier than Ferris Bueller, but with those kind of fun, charming type elements too, that just manifested better in Ferris Bueller. This is still an enjoyable, fast-paced flick. Check out Weird Science. You've probably seen it already. I give it 3 out of 4 stars.